Hello, and we're back with our second interview of the day. I apologize. We all had some technical issues on the backside of getting live this morning. So we're a few minutes late, but we are super excited to bring Dave Sherwin on. I interviewed Dave here just within the last 30 days on the podcast and absolutely love his story. Because I'm going to let him get into it, and I'm just going to do a super quick interview. But Dave is got so many credentials behind him, really helping out in the health and wellness space. He's got supplements that he has, and it's just an incredible guy to really walk us through that transformation journey that we all want as we're have this new year. We have these ideas of how 2021 is going to look for us. So Dave, I'm going to let you just take her away.
Ooh, take it away. Well, first of all, I did my first transformation type of challenge back in the 90s. I didn't know about these types of things. As a matter of fact, the one I did, I have had some people say they think this is the first one ever done. You guys might know better than me, but Bill Phillips, remember the book Body for Life?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Bill Phillips did this transformation thing. You read the book, and then you did his workouts, and then he had all these cash prizes. You like took a picture with a newspaper. Remember that? It showed the date when you started, and then you did it. Well, everyone has a different goal with their physique, right? So for many people right now, it's just weight loss. Let's face it, we live in an affluent society where we have refrigerators and pantries full of food, and it's very easy to just eat too much. And we all succumb to that to some extent. So for some people, it's weight loss. For me, being always being the skinny guy, right, is being more muscular and improving my physique that way. And then for others, it's internal emotional issues like bad relationships with food and eating disorders. And so there's an entire spectrum of transformation, whether completely internal and emotional, mental, or purely vanity. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with the vanity side of it. I mean, every one of us, of course, we want to be healthy. We want to be limber and strong and flexible, but we also want to look good. And there's nothing wrong with that being part of the equation. Well, I did his transformation, and 90 days later, people were saying to me, Dave, what'd you do? You look good. And that's just a really affirming, awesome thing, right? Mm-hmm. Or we have the same experience in life when someone says, did you lose weight? Mm-hmm. But anytime someone just compliments us, because we have the satisfaction of knowing we set out with a goal to make some positive changes, and we made them to the extent that they were noticeable. Right. And to me, that's what transformation is all about. But nothing lasts forever. There's no such thing as staying in place. Mm-hmm. We all go through constant emotional roller coasters. We can be laid off. We can have COVID. Mm-hmm. We can have divorce. All of us are going to go through difficulties in our life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And our health journey is going to be a roller coaster.
Right.
That's just the way it is. And so to me, it's a perfectly normal thing every now and then to set a new goal and change your life in the next 90 days to get back on a new track. So for me, I think that's important, because some people feel like, well, geez, I lost 40 pounds a few years ago, but I put it back on. And then they feel like a failure, and they don't want to carry on. But that's, I guess, the first thing I'd want to say to people. You're not a failure. You're just normal.
Right.
That's just life.
Yeah.
Having a baby, going through a really tough experience in your life are all just life, right? Mm-hmm. And our bodies are reflective of what's going on internally, how much inner strength we have, because sometimes we have the inner strength to just be a beast in the gym. we are just hitting it hard. We are doing our routine day in and day out. And then other days, we just want to sit on the couch and eat Cheetos and have a Dr. Pepper and watch television. Well, right? Welcome to the human race, right?
Right. Right.
And so I hope that makes sense. That I guess what I'm shooting for, what I'm encouraging people to do is not worry about the past and your ups and downs. And the fact is, accept that you're going to have ups and downs into the future for as long as we're alive. So just accept it. Part of being human. Every now and then, when our motivation is high, we need to take advantage and get as high on the roller coaster. And over time, hopefully the highs of the roller coaster are higher and the lows are lower.
Right.
That we're shooting for sure. So we have 7 principles that we teach. And my certification in health is with Precision Nutrition, which I believe is the best current nutritional coaching company on the planet. And I'm not just the only one who says that. These people that rate coaches and coaching programs either put Precision Nutrition number 1 or 2 or 3, depending on who's doing it. And I took it as a client. This is how I was introduced to it. A few years ago, my gym offered Precision Nutrition 1-year coaching. It's a little expensive. It's $179 a month. My gym got us a deal on it. I took it. I absolutely loved it. I was a fairly competitive athlete at the time. I was preparing for the national championships in Olympic distance triathlon. So I was putting in 15 hours a week of training. I had a coach who also was coaching me on nutrition. And I had a group I was training with, and we were working hard. And this was a big life goal we had set. You had to win a race in a qualifying. You had to win in your age group in a qualifying race just to get there. And I was feeling like I was pretty good. I was feeling like I'm, doing well with my health, right? And yet there was many days I walked in the kitchen and I had no plan. I generally knew nutritional principles, but I honestly didn't know how to put together a healthy meal. And I didn't know how to balance carbs, fat, protein. I didn't eat enough vegetables. And at that time I was, food was mostly for fuel, which is important. Food is fuel. But then, of course, the whole nutritional side of it and the balance side of it, I came to understand through Precision Nutrition. So then I wanted to be a coach. And so that's where I got my certification.
Love it.
And these principles, what I love about it is they're very, very simple. I'm really big into simplicity. And I really believe that many, many people in this country are failing. And by failing, I just mean they're not reaching their own goals. Okay, whatever it is they want, they often don't get it. And many times it's because they are overthinking things, or they've adopted beliefs about nutrition and food and exercise that are simply not true. Whether that's a discussion about carbs, which are perfectly normal food that all of us can eat, or meat. Now, don't get me wrong. If you don't eat meat for religious reasons, I'm all in. I'll absolutely support you for that. But we are omnivores, right? From our canine teeth on down. And so there's some misconceptions now in nutrition about meat. Same as fat. We decided in the 70s or 80s that fat is the devil, and let's get fat out of everything.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You can hardly find a full fat yogurt in the grocery store, which is the one you want, right?
Well,
you don't want.
Look at all of the neurotoxicity that started happening after fat was taken out. Just saying. Absolutely.
And so we have all these misconceptions about food. It's just food, right? There's just food. Yep. Potatoes, meat, carrots, bread. There's another one. A lot of people think they can't have a piece of toast. Now, of course, if you're highly gluten intolerant, which a few people are, that's fine. But what I want to teach, first of all, is that you can eat normal food from a grocery store and have a very high level of health. And if you eat it correctly, and if you live within what I call the virtuous cycle of health, yes, you're going to take in some junk. We all do. There's no such thing as a perfect diet. But your body is really, really good at getting rid of pathogens, carcinogens, viruses, bacteria, and chemicals. So now if you don't believe that, then you're afraid. You're always worried, oh, can I eat that? Oh, what's this going to do to me? And that can be completely toxic thinking that, if you think that every piece of food you ever eat has to be organic, you are just creating a stressful situation for yourself that is making your life a whole lot harder than it has to be. Again, I'm not against organic food. I buy a lot of organic food. The key is when you sit down to eat, what is going on between your ears about that food, right?
Ooh. Oh, that's key.
And I've been there. I've went after I was diagnosed, Dave, with cancer. I went totally strict, and it wasn't until 2 years later that I was seeing an acupuncturist, and she actually was like, "You're doing more harm than good by basically shaming myself." Like, and that stress, that emotional stress I was putting was so much worse than eating just that homemade cookie that I want to eat.
Absolutely, the stress is worse than the cookie. That's what people don't understand, right?
Yeah.
So if you go through a 24-hour cycle of health, first of all, if you don't sleep well, did you know there's lots of science now that if you don't sleep well, you have sugar cravings later in the day. So you want that cookie really badly if you didn't have a good night's sleep. You didn't have a good night's sleep because you didn't stop eating after dinner. And you have some junk food, so the melatonin can't rise. And so by the time you're supposed to be sleepy, your body's still digesting the crap that you ate at 9 o'clock. And let's face it, you ate crap at 9 o'clock because no one craves broccoli at 9 o'clock at night. Right?
Right.
So
True.
you have the junk in your stomach and the melatonin is not there. Now you go to bed and you lie there and you toss and you turn because you have unwittingly set your hormones in the wrong direction, and your body is trying to do something in the middle of the night that it wasn't designed to do. If we simply go back not that far to hunter-gatherer ancestors, right, that lived with the circadian rhythm of the sun, they finished eating. Then the sun went down. They started to get tired. Then they slept. Then they woke up when the sun came up and they felt terrific. But they didn't have food sitting in the fridge, so they couldn't just pound down food from the fridge right away. So in the morning when you wake up, if you've had a good night's sleep, estrogen is high, testosterone's high, HGH is high, and blood sugar is low.
Right.
It's a perfect time of day to exercise, to meditate, to sit and plan your day. It's a terrible time of day to look at social media. And if you're into politics, just stop looking at social media in the morning. Do not make the first thing you do looking at social media.
Agreed.
You'll be amazed. If you imagine, if we could get everyone listening right now to make one change, one simple change. Spend 20 minutes meditating instead of 20 minutes looking at social media first thing in the morning, and see if it doesn't change your life.
Amen. Amen.
Then we stay in that really optimal state till we eat that first meal. So for women, we're encouraging women to eat in a 10-hour window. Let's say that you have breakfast at 10. Okay. Now, if you wake up really hungry, and a lot of women tell me this, hey, Dave, I'd be starving. I wouldn't feel good. Well, that's no good. We do listen to our body, right?
Right.
So how about if we shift that earlier?
Okay.
If your body type is you just can't stand waiting till 10 to eat, well, let's make it 9. Let's make it 8. But then count out 10 hours from when you had that first meal and stop eating after that one. Okay. Now for men, this can be 8 hours. So for those of you listening, I know this is a women's event, but some of you will want to do this with your significant other. Men can go on an 8-hour or less cycle, but women who do, there's now research showing that they'll have hormonal disruption if they go shorter than 10. So
are you saying then, because like I do a 6-hour window, should I lengthen that?
Okay, probably.
Okay.
But again, here's where the problem is. When I say there's science, it wasn't done on you.
Got it.
If you're feeling really terrific, Amy, and it really works for you, and you can just sense that it works for you and you're okay, then that's fine. Because there's also a huge difference between a menopausal woman and a 25-year-old woman.
Right.
Right. Which, so it depends on your age now. So I'm not saying you specifically. I'm just saying the tests, we don't know what age group they're always done on and all that type of stuff.
Right.
And so, again, we have to take all science and determine is this now an exact law for me? And it isn't always, of course.
Okay.
Generally speaking, though. Yeah.
So real quick, are you saying not to, like, if I wake up, then eat something and then don't eat again for another 10 hours?
No, great
You're
point.
saying,
I'm saying
okay.
eat all your food in a 10-hour window.
That's okay. That's
So
what I thought.
if you have breakfast at 8, you're going to have dinner at 6, and you're going to stop eating.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And now you're supporting your hormonal cycle perfectly, because you're waking up with your hormones in the exact right state, and you're not disrupting it with food.
Right.
You might think, well, I'm going to eat a really healthy breakfast. That's great. It's still going to change that balance I talked about. The blood sugar is going to rise. The estrogen is going to go down. The testosterone is going to go down. Again, women have testosterone and estrogen, and so do men.
Right.
Women have more estrogen, men have testosterone, but we both have both, and we both need both.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Right.
Now, within that window, we're going to eat healthy carbs, fats, protein, and 5 to 9 servings of vegetables. Now, the easiest way to do this, remember I talked about the relationship with food and what you're thinking? Let me tell you what is ideal to be thinking when you eat a meal. It's ideal to be thinking, this looks delicious. This is good food. I'm so excited to have this breakfast, right? You don't have to eat some, salad from your organic hippie garden that tastes like crud, right? So what we do is, now, by the way, there's an excellent resource. I mentioned precision nutrition because I'm so sold on precision nutrition. If you Google precision nutrition perfect meal, I highly recommend that page. And don't just read it and think, wow, that was good, because that's probably what you'll think. What you want to do is study it and take the time, a few hours, carve out a few hours, maybe on Saturday or Sunday this weekend, and carve out a few hours to develop what I call the 9 perfect meals. So go through their list, read and understand the concept, and then think through from this, what would be a really, really delicious breakfast that I would really enjoy? And then make another one and take your notepad, your little notes app on your phone. Let's keep this dead simple and start a little note app that says 9 perfect meals, and do 3 breakfasts. And then what I found is that dinner and lunch are often the same. Once you go through this, it might just be that you have 3 breakfasts and 6 other that you can just change around. It just depends. It can be 3 lunches, or it can be 3 dinners, or it could just be 6 other meals, because we tend to want different food for breakfast for some reason than we typically want for lunch or dinner, right? Yeah. But lunches and dinners are more interchangeable. I don't know why that is, but it seems to be the case. So you're going to develop out these 9 perfect meals, and what you're going to do, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to buy the stuff to make all 9 of them, and you're going to make those your de facto go-to meals. I'm not saying you're going to eat them every single time. You don't have to. What I'm going to suggest is that when you go to the kitchen, remember I mentioned even when I was at a high level of training, I'd go in the kitchen, sometimes not know what I was going to do.
Right.
That's the problem we're solving. You're going to go there and you go, oh, I got 3 delicious breakfasts. Which one do I feel like? And you look at and then you make it, and then you eat it, and you enjoy it. And it's going to have the right amount of carbs, the right amount of protein, the right amount of fats, and even some vegetables. It may sound weird to get vegetables with breakfast, but I am suggesting that. It can be as simple as adding a green smoothie, or I'll tell you, one of my favorites is to smother eggs with salsa and or guacamole. It's delicious. There's ways that you can get vegetables with breakfast, and that's what we're encouraging. So we're encouraging 5 to 9 servings of veggies every day with the right balance of carbs, fat, and protein.
Okay. Now, what about snacks?
So there's lots of healthy snacks. I had Claudia Wilson on my podcast. I highly recommend her, by the way. She has a book called 1-2 Punch.
Okay.
She was one of my favorite interviews of last year. And one of the conversations we had that was interesting, she loves nuts. And what I mean, and not just she loves them personally, it's one of the big things she's recommending to her clients. Nuts are a phenomenal snack. They're filling, they have high protein and high fat, which keeps you full for quite a while until that next meal. So nuts are an excellent go-to snack.
Okay.
You know, that big thing of mixed nuts in Costco, that's a great thing to keep in your pantry at all times.
Yeah.
There's an unsalted and a salted version if you're concerned about sodium. And then, you know, I think we sometimes overcomplicate snacks. An apple is another phenomenal snack. Very filling.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'll tell you one of my gut checks. I have a sweet tooth. Like my nemesis in health is I love chocolate and I love fancy desserts, right? And I eat them. Not too much. I try to eat them in moderation, but that's my Achilles heel. And so when I go to the pantry and I want a snack and I open it up, one of the thoughts that I think to myself when I see that and I'm tempted by the chocolate, or I just feel like I might just be doing some emotional eating right now.
Yeah.
I think to myself, am I hungry enough to eat an apple? And for some reason, that thought changes my behavior. I don't know if that'll work the same for everybody, but when I'm tempted to just snack, I always ask that question first. Am I hungry enough to eat an apple? And another thing, Amy, is sometimes the answer is no, and then I don't eat.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's again, there's plenty of healthy snacks. I'm not against snacking at all. All of this has to do with, we do want to listen to our body. We are all different. As a matter of fact, for me, it fluctuates from day to day. I tend to alternate hard workout days with easy workout days. And on my hard workout days, my nutrition is different than on my easy workout days.
Right. Yep. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Another tip for you guys is stop drinking calories. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is this including protein shakes?
No. Great point. Great point.
Okay.
This is much more about getting rid of calories that are, it's so easy to drink calories, right?
Yeah.
And they're just adding to our calorie count and they add up so fast. And so this is much more about making water our go-to drink, really. Okay. Make water the go-to drink. That might be an even better way of saying it. Because when I say stop drinking calories, I do drink calories. Like for example, on my desk right here, this may look really gross and it's got all kinds of floaties in it. But they're healthy floaties.
Well, I'm holding that back, watch, Dave.
This is, believe it or not, this is a mix of BCAAs, a green drink, creatine, because I just finished my workout, and oh my gosh, electrolytes.
Nice.
So there's calories in here.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I say stop drinking calories, I'm not talking about this.
But like soda, juices.
Empty calories.
You know.
Empty calories, yeah. But some people think that there are healthy calorie drinks that are not healthy. Almost all fruit juices I would eliminate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fruit juices, I don't consider them empty calories necessarily. I just consider them excess calories.
Right.
And they're acidic.
Right.
And the fact is our body really wants water. We just really need to drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
So let's see. I talked about intermittent fasting or the 10-hour eating window, right?
Yeah.
Let's jump to supplements.
Okay.
So I don't care who you are or how healthy you eat. I can take a blood sample right now and send it to a lab and do nutritional research on your blood and tell you multiple deficiencies you have right now, myself included. I get a nutritional panel done every year. I get my physical done every year. And at the same time, I'm experimenting with a new one this year. This one is based only on hair. You just cut off some hair and send it in. And apparently it's very accurate. And it was another one recommended by someone on my podcast. And so I thought I'd give it a try this year. These used to be expensive. 5 years ago, I think it was $400 to get these tests done. Today, you can get them done for $80 to $100.
Okay.
And that's a great investment in your health once a year. Now, if you want to just know, so here's what I'm interested in as a biohacker, right? Sometimes we can save ourselves a lot of work, but just finding out what 100,000 other women found out, right? So you don't always need the test. Like I can tell you right now, the ones you're going to highly likely be deficient in are vitamin D, B vitamins, chromium, zinc. All women need to know where they're at with their iron. I'm not teaching you anything with that one. I should never do this off the top of my head. I should have like a list, but those are the big ones. I've given you the big ones.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, what about magnesium?
Okay, excellent. I was just going to say that. The other two, magnesium and calcium, okay, are two big ones. But if you eat those 5 to 9 servings of vegetables a day, it's highly likely you're going to cover magnesium and calcium.
Right.
So I actually get my magnesium and calcium from my diet. Now, if you're going to take magnesium, I recommend you buy a spray of magnesium. You know that, I was going to say suppositories, not suppositories, but what are the ones that make you go, right? When you're constipated, you take
a laxative.
A laxative.
Yeah.
Okay. Magnesium is.
You're right at the right end.
Yeah, the right area of the body. Magnesium is part of what makes up a laxative, right?
Yeah.
And so a really great way to take magnesium is at night and spray it on your thighs. There's tons of these on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search for magnesium spray. And when you take it topical, it bypasses the digestive system, so it's not creating the runs or multiple bathroom trips.
Interesting.
Yes, not only that, when you spray it on your thighs, as it absorbs, it is creating a calming effect. Magnesium is calming. So this is helping prepare you for a good night's sleep.
I love that.
I have another question, because I know I do magnesium that way. And I know when I first did it, Dave, I noticed that there was almost like this stinging effect.
Yes.
So I just want people to realize that that is normal. And once you go through it, like the next couple times, you're not going to have that. So don't be alarmed, people. If you do start to apply it topically, that you will have this feeling.
That's a great point. And I want to ask you a question, because this is totally anecdotal and I'd love to know the science on it. But did you find that after you did it for a while, the stinging went away?
It did.
You know what? I have this theory that the stinging is because we're deficient. It's kind of like iodine.
Yeah.
If you put iodine on the back of your hand, if you're not deficient, it'll absorb. And if you're deficient, it'll stain.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I believe magnesium is the same, only from these anecdotal stories that I've had myself and hear from people like yourself, that at first it stings, and then, and it's not bad, right? This is minor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nothing that would keep you from doing it. It's just like a little irritation for a few minutes and then it goes away. But I think it's a fair warning. And I do think actually that as you do it day after day, you'll notice it goes away. And I think that's because you then are not deficient.
Nice.
Yeah. So the next one is along the lines of supplements. Taking a good quality multi and mineral are the basics. And that should cover many of the deficiencies that we're talking about. Do not take the little white ones from a big box store. I've had doctors even tell me, Dave, you should see some of the x-rays I've taken where those things are lined up like little train cars about to be, sent out of the system. Like they don't even break down.
Yeah.
A quality multivitamin, and I'm talking in the $30 to $80 range a month, is well worth it. It's an investment in your health.
Yeah.
And so, and don't have the kind of amateur thinking of, well, I'm going to take us a month and see how I feel. That's like taking your car to Jiffy Lube and going back 2 weeks saying this thing isn't any faster or my car doesn't look better.
Hey.
Right. We just changed the oil. We changed the oil so the engine doesn't blow up at 100,000 miles, right? That's why you take a multivitamin. It's not so that you feel like Superwoman in a month.
Mm-hmm.
You may not notice anything, but you may not have that heart attack in 10 years that you were going to have.
Right. Well, and I would add too that many times when we do those things, like taking a good quality multivitamin or supplements, many times we might not feel the results of taking those, but when we stop, we will. You know,
really
like
great point. And some of them we'd never notice, like calcium, because if we're deficient on calcium, which again, I'm recommending you get from your vegetables. If you're deficient in calcium, no problem. Your body will pull it from your bones, and it can pull it from your bones till you turn 70 and get osteoarthritis.
Right.
Right?
We don't want that. And
we don't
ladies,
want that.
If you're blonde and thinner in stature, you're even more prone.
Yeah, great point. And so think very long-term here. Don't think about how you feel in a month, because your body was probably just compensating and you didn't even know it and you didn't feel it.
This is for long haul. Okay.
How are we doing for time?
Well, we're at 31 minutes.
31 minutes.
So we would. Yep.
Well, then I'll stop.
Well, how many of the 7 principles have we gotten through?
I went through them in kind of weird order, but we did don't drink calories. I didn't go through eat slowly and mindfully, and I didn't cover sleep. Now I kind of covered sleep, so I could do it real fast. Should we do eat slowly and mindfully?
Yes, and yes.
Okay. Ideally, I've mentioned meditation, and I've had a daily practice for 5 years now. It has changed my life. My life is better in every way. My relationship with my wife is better. My relationship with my kids, my business is more successful. Everything in my life is improved from a daily habit of meditation. Okay. I've been to meditation retreats. This is a really serious part of my life. And I'm going to say that first, because ideally, what we're shooting for is to do everything in our life slowly and mindfully.
Okay.
But what we know is that very few people are going to do that. And you kind of have to be ready for something. Like me, I was 49 years old. I heard about meditation my whole life. And for whatever reason, I was not ready to do it until I was 49 years old. And then I started.
Yeah.
Dave, what was your turning point?
What was my what?
Like your turning point, or your pain point that made you decide that you wanted to start to meditate?
Gosh, I just asked a question that would take. We have a gay son. And when he was 14, he was really struggling because he didn't know what he was. He didn't know what was wrong with him. He just felt different. And he was suicidal. And we were really concerned, and we didn't know what to do. We'd never dealt with this. I have almost no LGBTQ friends and very little experience in that world. And at the time, we were churchgoers, and he did not want to go to church. And he felt that the church we were going to was not friendly to LGBTQ people. And he just refused to go to church at one point. And I said, well, if you think this is going to become where you stay home and play Xbox and we go to church, that's not going to happen either. I said, how about if you and I find somewhere where I want you to have a spiritual life. I don't care if it's at the church we're going to. That doesn't matter to me. What does matter to me is that you have a moral compass. As a parent, this is critical to me. So I will find a place where you're comfortable and go with you. And we went to a Plum Village Meditation Center. And the very first time, a gay cellist from the local university shared his story of how meditation had helped him. My son was just riveted. And in the very first event we went to, he got to hear from a gay guy who was dealing with some discrimination, and he was dealing with it on a very high level. He was loving the people who were discriminating. He was dealing through meditation and mindfulness with the discrimination. And he was sharing his thoughts on how he was loving and showing his compassion to these people that were discriminating against him. And that's where we went since.
I love
amazing.
that story.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fairness now, to be totally transparent about this, he stopped going over time. He's grown up now. He lives with his boyfriend locally. We have a wonderful relationship with both him and his boyfriend. And, but he hasn't carried on with the meditation. Another reason why I just see this in so many people. But it helped him through. There's about a 2-year period there where it really, really helped him. He went from being a suicidal kid to being a well-adjusted kid. His boyfriend just got his degree from university. The two of them are on a wonderful track, and they love to come visit us. Everything is good. Relationships are good. Everything is great now. But it was the meditation and mindfulness and the openness of that community and the wisdom that we found there that helped him overcome, probably his biggest life challenge of being a gay boy, figuring out who he is. But then he did. And now he's moved past that. We don't worry about him anymore. He knows who he is. So, yeah.
And as a father, I mean, what a blessing, to find that and at that point in your life and see. And I want to just pause for a moment here, because we're in a society right now. I don't care if you're gay, if you're Black, there's so much tension with diversity, differing of opinions, and hatred. I mean, hatred out there. So I want you to listen when we talk about mindful meditation and we talk about, doing things purposefully, and that this person through this was able to love and show compassion to even those who were hating him. And boy, couldn't we use a lot of this in our world today.
Absolutely. And now to come all the way back full circle, now we've gone into these deeper and really meaningful personal relationships and everything. Could you at least eat your food slowly and mindfully? That's the bottom line, right? Yeah. Is our food is our energy. Food is life.
Yeah.
And we gobble it down while we're standing up or driving our cars. And if we could just take those 9 perfect meals that we look forward to and we really want to eat them and enjoy them. And now we sit down and we take a bite and we chew it thoroughly till it's like the consistency of applesauce. And then we put our utensil down while we're chewing it. And if we're with people, we pay attention to the people that we're with. No phones, right? Phones are away or they're upside down. And we're 100% with our food and or with the people that are at the table. They have our undivided attention the entire time we eat. Our food has our undivided attention the entire time we eat. And we eat slowly and mindfully so that the enzymes in our mouth get worked into the food. The food gets swallowed in the stomach, which is not a hole. The stomach is made of folds. And when we eat too quickly, the food doesn't work its way through those folds, or more enzymes are added into the food. And then they get to work slowly. And then the hormones, the ghrelin and other hormones that signal to the brain that we're full are a little slow in their action. And so if we eat really quickly, we eat too much food. And by the time we feel full, it's too late. And now we have gas and bloating and we feel bad and we have eaten too much. Studies show that people who eat slowly and mindfully eat 20% less food. That right there will solve most people's weight problems.
Yeah.
So eating slowly and mindfully is critical.
I got to tell you that since we recorded our podcast, that's one thing that I've incorporated. And let me tell you, ladies, it's not easy. was hard. I mean, I did not realize how much I was swallowing unprocessed food. I mean, when you really pay attention, it was like I would normally swallow right now, and I haven't even chewed up my food. It was just like enlightening.
Wow, that's a great story, and it's very common. We tend to live in a high-paced, a fast-paced society.
Yeah.
And where we want to do everything quickly. Half the time we're eating, we're thinking about what we got to get to next. I talked about how meditation had really improved, even my business. In our business, our business has improved because we do less.
Yeah.
We do a better job at less things and are much more successful than we were 5 years ago. And that's true, I think, for most people. That if we slow down, if we become very mindful of what we're doing in a day, what we'll find is we're generally doing too much. And if we do less and do it incredibly well, then some of the things we were doing, we don't have to do anymore.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Because as women especially, I think we believe the fallacy that we can do all things. We can be mom. We can be, have our, we can just do all these things. Like, we're, especially now that we're working at home, we're doing our job and we're watching the kids and we're homeschooling them. And we're just in this mode that we think we can do all of that all at the same time. And that's so not true, because what happens is we're giving 10% to this, 10% to this, 10% to this. We're not giving 100% of us to any one thing.
Multitasking is not multitasking. Multitasking is task switching.
Yeah.
And every time you switch from one task to another, you lose momentum on the one you switched from.
Yeah.
And so we need to get rid of the word multitask from our brains and simply get really good at slow, deep tasks.
I love that. All right.
Possible.
We are going to have to wrap it up because we're going to fall right into the next one here. So Dave, last words, to finish this up. I know we want our listeners, if you are connecting with Dave, make sure you're going to www.dirobi.com. It's been scrolling out here. I know you're going to make a post up in about an hour or so because you've got a special offer for our group. So I want to make sure you get that last thought.
Boy, you guys have been great. I mean, some of these questions have brought out my best stuff. I mean, one thing I am excited about, you've got this transformation journey here. We are doing a transformation journey and it starts on Thursday. We'd love to have anyone listening hop in with us. It's going to be based on these 7 principles. We're going to dive deep into each one. We're going to talk. We're going to spend a week on each thing and additional things. We have a whole week on flat abs that I'm sure a lot of people will really enjoy. We have weeks on a variety of things, and we have challenges on, I shouldn't say challenges. We're calling it a journey for a reason. People have enough challenges right now. We're trying not to challenge people. We're trying to help people just get set on the right track that they can just walk on, that will help them be successful. So we have a 90-day journey, starts on Thursday. We're going to give 10% off to your listeners. I'll post that in the Facebook group with the code that you use to get 10% off. And we have an app where every day you'll have accountability to note how well you did that day. We're shooting for 70% compliance. It's not a challenge. We're not trying to upturn your whole life.
Right.
We really feel like if people are 70% compliant with what we teach, that they'll have a transformation, that 90 days from now, people will be saying, what did you do?
Yeah, I love that.
What we're shooting for.
Yeah.
Dave, you have just had so much wonderful information for our audience, and I want to make sure that they get connected with you. So appreciative of your time for us today.
Thank you
so much. This has been fun. Thank you.
Thanks.